Nobody wants to stay in Paraguay. Expats are leaving Paraguay fast in 2025. This became very clear to me as I was reflecting on some of the recent conversations I had with clients of ours, as well as people that I randomly met on the streets here of Asunción. There seems to be a common pattern surrounding expats that tend to give Paraguay a try, but actually never end up settling down here. From my observations, more than 80% of people that visit Paraguay don't end up staying. And you could also argue that over 80% of people that apply and get approved for Paraguayan residency don't end up making Paraguay their plan A. They don't end up moving to Paraguay. They just don't come back here, or they keep Paraguay as a plan B. Why aren't people staying here, you may ask? There are a number of reasons. I think the primary reason why people don't end up staying here is because they think that Paraguay is too boring of a place to make it their main home, their main base. This has a lot to do with Paraguay's geography. Just taking a look at Paraguay's geographic location, we can see that the country is in a very isolated geography where there's not much to do. There are no mountains, there's no ocean, you can't go swimming in the ocean, you can't go hiking in the mountains, you can't do a lot of the fun things that you can do back in Europe, you can't do a lot of the fun things that you can do back in the US or that you can do in Canada. You can't go hiking here, right? I mean, there are some trails, but it's just nothing like what you have in the Northern Hemisphere. And that definitely turns a lot of people off and makes them not want to come back to Paraguay. Another reason is that there's just not a lot of entertainment here either. If you compare Paraguay to Southeast Asia, region that's filled with entertainment. And oftentimes expats from Southeast Asia, they get fed up with the high humidity in the eastern hemisphere of the planet, so they end up trying out the southern hemisphere where the cost of living is lower and where it's just easier for them to stay long term. Comparing the two regions here, I mean, it's pretty obvious that we're not talking about an equal value proposition. What Paraguay offers you, Southeast Asia can't offer you. And the same also holds true for Southeast Asia, which is home to a very unique value proposition that Paraguay will never be able to bring to the table. However, life is more about individual choices. Life is about finding a place that resonates with you. Life is about finding a place where you feel content. I think that's the most important goal to achieve for any nomad. Southeast Asia offers you night markets, beautiful beaches across the entire region, lower cost of living than most of Paraguay offers you, even though the cost of living here in the heart of South America is substantially more affordable, especially when it comes to everyday necessities such as groceries, utilities, rent. There is a definite advantage to choosing Paraguay over one of its South American neighbors, countries with a much higher cost of living, with a more elevated lifestyle as well. And because of this lack of lifestyle in Paraguay, the cost of living is naturally going to be lower than, say, in the place like Austria, Italy, Spain. But even places in South America like Argentina and Uruguay are definitely more expensive for the average expat. So people make this comparison. There's just not much to do here. It's such a boring place. Why would I be here if I can get residency, secure my plan B, and most importantly, have tax residency here so that I can avoid paying taxes to my native country or the country they might have been living in the past? With that being said, Paraguay offers these tax advantages that drive people to the region, but Paraguay lacks a well-balanced lifestyle to really keep the majority of residency holders in the country. I don't see this changing because Paraguay isn't magically going to transform into a place like Bangkok, Thailand, a bustling metropolis with endless entertainment opportunities and just more sweetness to life. I'm not saying that life in Paraguay is bitter. Life in Paraguay is really for people, and now we're talking about the 20% of people that actually end up spending time here in the heart of South America. The people that end up staying are usually after a very specific goal, or should I say specific goals. And the first is obviously tax minimization. The plan B leads them to residency, which ultimately comes with Paraguayan tax residency, a tax break on foreign sourced income that is not transferred into the country, that's kept overseas. That revenue, that income that you have abroad, that's generated abroad where you didn't really actively work on that income in Paraguay, that would remain tax-free even if you don't bring it into the country. Now, things drastically change if you decide to actually do transfer that money into the country where you're a resident, right? Then things change drastically and the territorial tax system of Paraguay no longer applies. So that's like the first group of people that may find Paraguay very boring but still end up spending time here. They want to get tax residency and just want to optimize their life for taxes. They are not super high net worth individuals. They are regular expats, regular entrepreneurs with a business that generates perhaps anywhere from 100,000 to a couple 100,000 annually in revenue. I would say the people with a higher annual income of say 500,000 or more probably don't end up choosing Paraguay because it's just so hard for them to spend money here. They would rather take their money to Dubai, they'd rather take their money perhaps to Miami, Florida, or even Singapore, or any place that is just more conducive to the development of high net worth individuals, but also offering them the quality of life that they ultimately seek. It's true that Paraguay is one of the most boring countries, not only in South America, but across the globe, which makes it not an ideal destination. I wanted to touch on the second point, which definitely is focused on people that really value freedom. And I'm not just talking about freedom in the sense of small government, which ultimately decides the things you have to do and don't have to do on a daily basis. I believe that there's no question that the small government of Paraguay is the catalyst to a life of freedom, which is what you might be after. Anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere now, you're looking at chaos, high taxation, the potential introduction of a digital currency that further reduces or could further reduce your liberties. Paraguay may not be able to introduce such technology because of the lack of infrastructure, and it's just not at the same level playing field as perhaps United Kingdom, Germany, France, Canada, or even the US. People that come here with the goal to achieve more freedom, they obviously want to live a more relaxed lifestyle where they are not bothered by the ever-changing policies and also mind viruses that are currently leading to the destruction of Christian values. That's probably the biggest group of people that I see staying here. Really people that want to live a more conservative life. Conservative means being aligned with the church. Conservative means following ancient principles that have been totally eroded in the northern part of the hemisphere, which of course led to a lot of the uncontrolled crisis that we are in right now. So people that come here and actually end up staying, they don't even see Paraguay as the cheapest place to live, because clearly it is not. If you want the lowest cost of living, I don't recommend you to come to Paraguay. I'd rather recommend you going to a place like Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, maybe even Cambodia. It just doesn't make sense to spend your time here just for the cost of living, as much as it doesn't make much sense coming here just to reduce your taxes, because I think there are countries closer to your native country with equal or even better tax benefits. Now, the tax benefits are very prevalent here, obviously a big part of the equation that lead to the decision to get Paraguayan residency, but it's just not the main ingredient that makes this country worthy, that makes this country stand out from the rest of the crowd. I think there's more intrinsic value in pursuing a more conservative lifestyle that also entails building a family, living outside the system, and also taking advantage of Paraguay's natural resources that are heavily available to residents and citizens of the country. More than 80% of people have a totally wrong expectation of Paraguay, which doesn't come to fruition as soon as they step foot in the heart of South America. They're being told that Paraguay is this paradise far away from all of the world's problems that will fulfill their dreams. If you have heard this kind of message, you probably have thought about giving Paraguay a try. Perhaps you even came here for a couple weeks, couple months to check it out for yourself, just to see if what you were being promised online is actually true. There are people that come here with this expectation, and they're bitterly disappointed by the fact that Paraguay is nothing like it is demonstrated on the internet. And so the natural reaction is to leave the country, perhaps never come back, or just keep it as a backup option in the worst case scenario, which is a very realistic possibility in the 21st century. There's a good chance that Paraguay will alter its residency program again. We have now witnessed several waves of significantly different groups of immigrants that decided to give this country an opportunity not only for tax purposes, but also for an improved quality of life. What we saw before the past crisis was a flood of people from this region here. We're talking about countries that are part of the full Mercosur agreement, like full Mercosur member states. They came to Paraguay because of many reasons. South America is home to some of the highest inflation rates across the globe, and it's one of the reasons why Argentinians, Venezuelans, and people from other South American countries ended up giving Paraguay a try and actually ended up staying here. This wave of opportunity-seeking immigrants from regional countries really started before the past health crisis. Like I've pointed out, the decision was based on quality of life improvement, reducing inflation, and obviously finding better work opportunities, which are definitely present here. There's more opportunity for work today here in Paraguay than 5 years ago. And this trend is only going to get better as time goes by. The second wave was really predicated on refugees from Central and Northern Europe that ended up making Paraguay their home during the past crisis. They were escaping certain policies that were not conducive to their lifestyle. They didn't want to get forced into certain actions that they had no control over. So many ended up packing their bags and booking a flight to Paraguay to see if Paraguay could be their next home. Many of those people actually ended up staying. However, many, and most probably most, actually ended up returning to their native countries for a number of reasons. They couldn't adjust here. They didn't like it. They found it too difficult to integrate, perhaps. And many people also returned because the crisis did come to an end, so there was no more need to escape from anything, and now they're happily living back home. If you're looking to move to Paraguay just to lower your cost of living, it's probably the wrong place for you. The same also holds true if you're choosing Paraguay just for your tax residency. It's probably the wrong place for you because there are maybe not easier options out there, but there are options out there that might be more conducive for the improvement of your quality of life and perhaps also offer you more realistic dating opportunities, which is another point why expats end up leaving Paraguay. Nobody wants to stay here because they figure it is just too difficult to find a Paraguayan wife, which is a very truthful statement to make. The majority of Paraguayans don't speak a single word of English, which is difficult if you have never been exposed to a foreign language and you come here. You're going to be bitterly disappointed by the fact that you're not going to be able to build a relationship without proper communication skills. And unless you're bilingual, let's say Spanish is not your native language, you're probably going to struggle here. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to require tremendous efforts, not only on your side, but on her side as well. There is a deep amount of patience required for the relationship to build because you don't have the basic foundation that makes a relationship great, which is good communication. If you don't speak the local language, you cannot have good communication. Yes, you can communicate through translator apps like Google Translate, which will definitely bypass a lot of your initial communication problems that you may encounter when dating someone from this culture here in the heart of South America. However, it is no replacement for a lack of communication skills in the long term. In the long term, you're going to need to learn the local language if you want to integrate here, you want to find a Paraguayan wife and build a happy life here. It's only going to happen with Spanish skills. There are certain things that you can do to get yourself out of difficult situations at the beginning. However, when we're talking about the long term, it's going to require your sweat equity to not only score but thrive in your dating life here in Paraguay. Expats say that Paraguay is boring beyond belief, and many of you would probably agree with this statement. There isn't much to do here. If we're talking about like amusement parks, beaches, hiking, or even just amusement things that you are accustomed to in any major westernized metropolitan, such as casinos, large nightclubs. Nightclubs do exist here, but they're not at the same level as the big discotheques you have access to in North America, Western Europe, or even Australia. I think because of the lack of nightlife and amusement opportunities, not only Gen Z and millennials think twice about staying here, but also people in the 40s and 50s that want to have a more thrilled lifestyle that perhaps they couldn't experience in an emerged country. So they look to the East, especially the Far East, or even potentially other Latin American countries where this kind of entertainment is more likely to come by. Now, Paraguay is really perfect if you want to escape a high-taxed nation, or perhaps you have problems with current policies that are being implemented that go against what you actually stand for. I think in these two instances, Paraguay can be the perfect opportunity for you to eliminate these two things from your life and replace them with the good that you may never have been able to experience in your native country. While Paraguay's cost of living is increasing, it is still one of the cheapest countries to live in Latin America. It may not be as cheap as perhaps Thailand, Malaysia, or even Vietnam. However, what Paraguay offers you is a mix of low cost of living, a tax-optimized lifestyle that is really perfect for location-independent business owners, remote workers, investors, entrepreneurs, and also retirees. If you fit into any of these categories, there is a very high probability that Paraguay checks most of your boxes, especially if you're not looking for a lot of amusement. Family life is highly appreciated here in the heart of South America. It is one of the last, if not the last, conservative Christian country left on the planet where you can actually devote yourself to the purpose of God. And I think that makes Paraguay unique on the international stage. Something that is unimaginable in the Northern Hemisphere is still practiced here. So if you value this conservative mindset that creates a life with so much good, consider Paraguay. Don't just consider Paraguay for its cost of living, for its real estate investment opportunities, or even for its laid-back lifestyle. Consider Paraguay for the conservatism that it truly embodies, because this is Paraguay's true value proposition that is so unique in this day and age. Well, it is true that nobody wants to stay in Paraguay for the long term. There is a chance that you might be interested in moving to this country and securing a residency permit that may get you out of trouble in times of great emergency and of times of great political turmoil. Paraguay could be the place where you find the peace of mind, prosperity, freedom, and conservative values that allow you to truly be in sync with who you are. Now, if that's you, if you're interested in giving Paraguay a try, no matter what your aspirations might be, consider our Paraguay residency packages this month. We have a special promo. You can purchase our Plan B Paraguay package at a $550 coupon. It includes all the necessary steps to legally and successfully secure your Plan B here in the heart of South America. It's perfect if you just want to have this option in the worst case scenario or in the future when you're ready to move here permanently. We also offer a relocation package. So if you are of a conservative mindset, of a conservative origin, and you would like to make Paraguay your permanent home or pursuing Paraguay as a part-time home, consider our Relocate package. You can secure a $1,000 discount this month. We help you obtain your Paraguayan residency, driver's license, cedula, tax number, and we even help you open up a bank account here so that you can fully get started living in this country. If you're interested in getting started today, go to nomadelite.com and book a consultation with me. I really hope this video taught you something that you did not know about Paraguay, and if there's anything that I can personally help you with, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can do that by posting a comment below or emailing us. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next video.